I just think that friendships shouldn't have to go out the window with life. Of course, we won't see each other as much, but I'm in my early 20s. If we can't get together now, like, that does suck. I mean, we don't have to see each other every week or even every month. But if I have something once a year and I can't see you and it's not for a good reason, that's a little weird, just a tiny bit. Hey beautiful people, welcome back if you're a subscriber, but if you're new, hey boo, go ahead and subscribe. I think you'll like it here and I think that we'll vibe. So I know I don't look glam like how I tend to look in a lot of these sit down videos, but that's because I just felt like I needed to do this video. As you can see, advice is a part of the niche that is on my YouTube banner, but I haven't been doing that a lot. So I want to start this new series called Social Media Case Studies, y'all. And basically what it is like when I see something on social media, it could be a video, a post, or whatever, and I want to talk about it, that's what I'm gonna do. So today's social media case study is on a video that I saw on TikTok about birthdays.
Another one, thank you. Another one, thank you. Another one, thank you. Another one, thank you.
It's basically showing how, like, when you make birthday plans, how people will start popping up with excuses. Like some of the ones that popped up in the TikTok or messages that people will send you. It's like, hey, I'm sorry girl, I can't make it. I don't have a ride. I don't have enough money. I don't have anything to wear. But it's like these things that people will pop up when it's like you've known about these plans. So I was like just thinking about it amongst myself and talking about it with some of my friends. And one of my friends, she has a YouTube channel. I'm gonna put it down below, Brianna. We started like talking about it. And basically her stance on it was that she feels like you should do something for your birthday that's solo, and then do something like, let's say it's a trip, like frame it as a girl's trip. That way people feel more enticed to come. And I love discussions like this that don't turn into arguments, but it's like honestly just learning somebody else's perspective versus yours, because some things won't connect, but some things, you know, you'll just learn from it. That was her stance. And then my stance on it was like, I get why you should put less pressure or maybe even have less friends. Like the people that actually end up going through with these massive like girls trips for their birthday, or just trips in general, not even girls trips, but like trips for their birthday with 6 friends, that's a feat. That's a feat right there, because I've learned my sweet spot is 2 friends. But if I have my best friend, like we're riding, period. What I was telling her that I didn't understand about that was, why do I have to frame it as a girls trip to celebrate other people's accomplishments? Which I don't have a problem celebrating other people, but the problem is if I want to have a trip for my birthday and I want you all to come and I want it to be like a fun group vibe, why do I have to frame it as a girls trip for y'all to come? Because if you're my friends and you love me, you shouldn't have to hear it as like, oh, a girls trip, I want to celebrate us in order for you to come. You get what I'm saying? So that's where the disconnect was happening. But then we just got into the topics of like friendships and celebrating birthdays and whatnot, like all that type of stuff. Because some of her points was that on a girls trip you can celebrate everyone's wins, like promotion. She said basically like something separate for you. So I guess, you know, if you want to take yourself out to dinner, go on a little spa date, it's like something small with maybe 1 or 2 friends, which I agree with. I think that's a great way to go, because it's easy to have like 1 or 2 very reliable friends as opposed to trying to coordinate a whole group, because that's where it gets crazy. And then a group thing where everyone feels celebrated, because as you get older people become more selfish with time. I think, yeah, as you get older, I won't even say you get more selfish, but you do have more things for yourself that you need to focus on. So maybe I think I might be thinking about this from a 24-year-old mindset. My close friends don't have kids, aren't married. So not to say I have higher expectations for them, because I'm realizing just as a person that we need to stop having expectations of like things that you would do. That's not what they're going to do, because they're not you. But another thing that I told her is like, when do we decide when something, like not making it an expectation like you have to do this to be my friend, but I think for friendships we should have standards. Because if we don't have standards on what we want from a friendship or how we want our friends to show up for us, then why are we even friends? Like, we should basically just be associates, right? Because if you're not going to come to anything to celebrate me unless there's a caveat in there to celebrate you as well, then I wouldn't necessarily consider you my friend. Because just how if you throw something to celebrate your birthday or your graduation, like, I'm going to show up, congratulations. I think that as a friend, you should be able to do the same. Like, we should be able to have our spotlight without having to share it. And I know that sounds selfish, but at this age, I think you should. Like, if you have friends that have a lot of kids, or not even a lot of kids, but if you have a lot of friends that like have kids, are married, like are in the process of planning a wedding or something like that, that's understandable. I don't have friends like that. So this was just an interesting topic because I know I keep saying that. I need to stop saying that. Brianna said that I sounded like one of her friends. She said that I sounded like one of her friends because she's very much like a friendship girl. And it's weird. I feel like I'm not a friendship girl, but I'm a best friend girl. Like, I have my main best friend and I have other friends that I go out with. But I do a lot of things alone. I'm not scared to do things alone. But for my birthday, like, if I want to do something social, I just think that not every single activity can be done alone in its full vigor or in its like full excitement-ish. Do you get what I'm saying? Like, sometimes you just want people around you. You just do. I mean, maybe for like the extreme introverts, I consider myself an introvert, but also once I'm comfortable with you, like, I'm cool, we can ride. And as much as I do alone, there are times where I'm like, yeah, I want like a group of girls, let's go out or let's go do karaoke. You gonna go do karaoke by yourself, like the karaoke rooms? I could stay at home and sing in my room for that matter, but so I saw this thing. It was the first thing that I saw when I got on Instagram today, so I felt compelled. Like, I just liked the words on here, and I'll pop it on the screen, but I'm gonna read it to you. Engagement, marriage, pregnancy, new baby, all wonderful things to celebrate, but they are not the only things. Don't forget to celebrate your friend who went back to school, started her own business, left a dead-end job, left a toxic relationship, adopted a rescue dog, ran a marathon, healed from trauma, bought her own home, is making a better life for herself. And y'all, I loved that because I know we were talking about birthdays, but then it just made me think about the whole concept of basically what this video is about. Are my expectations too high, or do I just have standards for my friends? And it's like, I know that life will become busy, and as people grow into their life and get more things or people that they have to take care of, that the frequency that you see them will decrease. That's normal. But I do think that a standard should be set, because if we don't have to ever see each other, ever call each other because we're just so busy with our lives, then why do we consider each other friends? Some people take their birthdays with a lot of pride. I've heard some stories of people saying, I was never able to celebrate my birthday like how I wanted to when I was a child, so now that I'm an adult and I have money and I can pay for these things, like, my birthdays are a huge deal to me. They're a huge celebration. And I think we tend to think of the things that are important in our heads, and those might be the things like marriage, babies, engagements. It's like everybody's woo-ha, congratulations for things like that. But for women who that is not their reality, when do we celebrate them? When do we celebrate them? If they're not getting engaged, getting married, having a baby, things that women do, if we're not celebrating them doing that, because not just because you're a woman doesn't mean you have to do that. When do they get their flowers? When do they get their celebration? Of course, birthdays are a no-brainer because you have that once a year, but I like the fact that this post explained the other things. In life, it's so easy for people to applaud those occasions, but then what about the rest of us? Or if we're not there yet, like, when do we get to feel appreciated? So I just think friendship overall should be more prioritized than it is. I ran across a post on Instagram one day talking about how friendships need to be nurtured like relationships or romantic relationships, because a friendship is a form of relationship, and we can't just expect to be able to call people friends if no work, no emotion, no support, like nothing is put into it. Because what's the point of having that title there if you are not that? It's not like family where we were born as someone's niece or as someone's blank and we just have that title. A friend is a title that you choose. So that's one thing that it's like I get it as you go off and create families, but I don't think I'll ever understand fully the concept or like the mindset of people, I don't want to say like forsaking or forgetting their friends in place of a man. And so, or forgetting their friends at all, because like I say, even if it's the smallest thing, there needs to be a reason why we're calling each other friends. So I do think it's okay to have standards for your friendship, because if everybody can just kiki with you one time and they're all of a sudden your friend, you won't have many real friends, because you'll have people that they don't need to maintain anything with you in order to call you a friend. Like that doesn't even make sense to me. I don't even know how to verbalize that properly. I'm reading All About Love by Bell Hooks right now, and I like the fact that in the book she goes into so many different forms of love, because sometimes we make it sound like it always has to be one or the other. It can never be both or multiple forms of love. There are people who make it seem like if you're not doing everything by yourself, you hate yourself, you don't love yourself, you need people to rely on. You have some people that are like, your friends, like if my man calls, I'm leaving my friends, period, no matter what, because that's my man. And then you have some people that are like, friendship over everything. I just think it needs to be a good mix of both, which is why I tend to like have contrary opinions when someone is on one side of the fence, because I think you just need a mixture of all. But so often friendship is the one that always gets neglected. We hear everybody preaching self-love, and we hear everybody preaching how to make your relationship stronger, but what about those friendships? And so in the book she said, often we take friendships for granted, even when they are the interactions where we experience mutual pleasure. We place them in a secondary position, especially in relation to romantic bonds. This devaluation of our friendships creates an emptiness we may not see when we are devoting all our attention to finding someone to love romantically, or giving all of our attention to someone that we have chosen to love. So I thought that was super powerful, because I think it's very true. A lot of people are all about their friends when they don't have anybody, and then the minute they have someone, they flee, forgetting their friends. And friends are really important, like whether we want to talk about it or not. I know this comes off really pessimistic in some eyes, and I think sometimes it can be pessimistic when people are like, oh, you forget about me now. Now when this man breaks up with you, or when you break up with him and you need a shoulder to cry on, don't come crying to me because you forgot about me. Like you completely left me behind when you got into that relationship. But I see the validity in that. I see why that's definitely harsh and pessimistic, like, dang, you want my relationship to fail. But also, nothing is guaranteed, and there is nothing like having a solid, good friend in your corner. And just to round this back all up, in order to have a solid good friend, you have to be a solid good friend. Like if your friends can do whatever and don't have to do anything, show up for anything, support you in anything, are they really your friends? Why do they have to be your friends? Even more than friendship, sisterhood is so important, I think, for women, because a lot of times women really get like locked in and trapped into the titles that they hold. Whether that's mom, wife, whatever their career is. A lot of women tend to get trapped into those things and they become their identity. But having a sisterhood, even if that's just one person, two people, three people, women that you can confide in and that can really be friends, can be sisters, we neglect how important that is. Yes, you can share anything with your husband or wife if you have a wife, but y'all, are we really gonna sit up here and act like friendship isn't important? I think that is a big mistake. That's a big mistake. sisterhood is important, and the minute we will accept that, I think our lives will be better. There are times that I couldn't have imagined getting through without the sisterhood of women that I have, that are my best friend, my classmates, like true sisterhoods. And because they have helped me get through so much and I value them so much, that's why I want to nurture these relationships, because any type of relationship needs to be nurtured. Playing the contrary, if you were in a relationship with a man that was your boyfriend, and he didn't make efforts to take you on dates, to what's what I'm looking for, compromise, to do things with you, you will find a problem with that. So I think we need to hold friendships to a similar standard, because it's just another form or another type of relationship. But all these relationships need to be nurtured. The relationship with yourself, the relationship with your significant other, the relationship with your friends, with God. You can't claim you have a relationship with something and never nurture it, because it doesn't work like that. So once again, I pose the question: is it high expectations of your friends, or do you just have standards for your friends? I think it's perfectly okay to have standards, because you should have standards. Thanks for coming to my TED Talk. So that's basically it for this video. I don't even know, y'all. I didn't have anything prepared, but I just want to throw it out there because I realize I do want to do more talking videos that aren't like I just want to do more everyday talking videos. So I'm curious to know, what is your stance on this? I get it, as we age, we have more responsibilities that don't have to do with friendships, but I feel like you make time for what you want to make time for, especially if you're not married, don't have kids. Not to say you just have all the free time in the world, but if you can't show up for somebody once a year, like, how do y'all feel about that when it comes to your birthdays? Are you a person that likes group birthday outings? And when you try to do them, how easy is it, if it ever happens? I have so many questions, y'all. I'm literally just about to leave a list of questions in the comment box because I really want y'all to weigh in. So please talk to me. Let's start this conversation down below. Thank you all so much for tuning in. Stay blessed, and I'll see you in the next.
It's time to post up. It's your credit, girl. Get at it, get your bag up. Get that shit, get back time. Go get